Hello, and welcome to How to Play D&D, the explainer podcast where one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter discuss D&D topics. My name is Connor Kinsey. I got my name wrong already. And my guest this week is Tammy King, award-winning singer-songwriter and voice artist. Hello, Tammy.
Hello, Connor. How are you?
Hello. Good. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming on today. It has literally been a year in the making, I believe.
Oh, has it been that long?
It feels like
God.
forever. Yeah, honestly. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. Really, really good. Start of the year has been very, very busy. And I can't complain because, you know, a lot of people, especially in the freelance world, you know, they usually work a lot towards the end of the year and have that as a buffer so that when it's a bit quiet at the start of the year, they've got something to fall back on. Whereas with me, it's kind of been the other way around. So
yeah.
I'm very grateful to be in the position that I am, and I'm here, and I'm really, really excited to be on this podcast. So thank you so much for asking me to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for giving us the time then, especially as it is the weekend for doing this. So there we go. So let's get into it. What is the topic that you've chosen to cover this week on the podcast?
So the topic I've chosen is voice artistry in D&D.
Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is about voice artistry, something I'm so good at that I was told to give everyone else a competitive edge by never trying again. Tammy, are all caterpillars the same length? Am I measuring things poorly? What am I doing?
Honestly, I think if you've got a voice, you can act. It's just about nailing the nuance. And
Okay.
because all of our voices are different, whether you've got a high pitch, low pitch, you've got a different accent, you know, I think it's all about how you can portray the character, how you can portray what the brief is. You really have to embody kind of like the heart, soul and mind of what it is you're trying to do. So personally, I think if you've got a voice, you can do it. It's just about tailoring kind of like what you can do to be, you know, voice acting. I mean, I never really... Like, I'm not from a traditional acting background, so the fact that I started it a little bit later on in life and I'm getting jobs, like, if I can do it, so can you.
All right, well, with that then, let's go into the first main question. What is your background in the topic?
So, my background is, it's kind of difficult to say. So I actually, like I mentioned, started a little bit later. So I didn't start doing voice artistry properly, professionally, till about a year and a bit ago. So I've been doing lots of volunteer stuff for a couple of years. And then when I finally took the plunge, I would say I'm still considered a newbie in the sense. I traditionally trained as a musician. So I've been a singer all my life. So I've had kind of voice training in that perspective. And for me, I feel like when you're songwriting specifically, you have to act as a vocalist, because what are you trying to say? What emotion are you trying to convey, etc. And as a D&D fan, that kind of helped me out a little bit, because then when I played as a bard, I got to sing and I got to be a bit flamboyant and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, in D&D specifically, it's just a great outlet. It's just a great way to even just practice. Like, if you love the idea of voice acting and maybe you're a little bit scared to do it professionally and you just want to have a bit of fun, like, give D&D a go. You can use your imagination. You can run wild with it. So when I first started playing D&D, I just loved the idea that you could be whatever you wanted to be, and it didn't matter. So yeah, that's kind of how it started in regards to the voice acting in D&D perspective.
All right, then, so let's dive into that a little bit deeper. With the next question is, why voice artistry in D&D? Like, why is that a topic? What can people get from it? Not learning, because that's another question down the line. But you know, it is a transferable skill to a point, both ways. Why that?
I think that in D&D, it's about storytelling, right? So not necessarily just from the dungeon blooming hell, tongue
That's all
twister,
right.
dungeon master's perspective, but from the players around the table. So even if you don't want to necessarily act, you just want to use your normal voice, you're still portraying a character. And I personally think that if you have a story that's all role play, it can get a bit monotonous. If you have a story that's all battle focused and just killing people, that can get a bit monotonous. So I think having a balance of the two is great. You've got, a bit of battling here and there. You've got a bit of narrative. You're learning about different characters and what motivates them or what doesn't motivate them, etc. And I just think it's a beautiful way to be able to express yourself in a world, in a situation that you don't necessarily come across in day-to-day life. But then when you speak about transferable skills, let's say in your day job you do something that's quite unique, or maybe you do something that's like, maybe you're a phone operator or something like that. You've got great communication skills, so if you need to go and speak to a baddie or something like that, your communication skills might help the party get out of a weird
Mm,
situation. You know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah.
really intertransferable in that way.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a a great reference to use because we talked about this recently. We did an episode on therapy, and that was communication
Mm.
skills for students who are getting therapy via D&D. And that once again was they're teenagers. They're going through everything in life, and they're in therapy, so obviously probably more so than most people, even at their age. And then they wouldn't, they're quite quiet. They don't
Mm.
communicate. That's kind of, as I guess, a slight bit as to why they're in that group. But then with D&D, they've got all these problem solving things, but in a fun way. And the communication that teaches them, like when they finish school, when they finish this therapy class, well, they know how to deal with like kings in a game. So they know
Yeah,
how to deal with someone who may be a bit more higher up in life in terms of might be a job application or a job interview, talking to the government for whatever reason. It's like different levels of people you come across in D&D, NPCs you come across in D&D that requires you to communicate in a different way as well, let alone, in real life, there's such transferable skills. So I think you
that's
hit the nail on the head there.
that's so good. That's a really good idea. And I think as well, because you're working as part of a team, that is certainly transferable as well. So if, again, in your day job, you work in a team, like, you can use that even if you're going for a job interview. Like,
Mm,
it's quite common nowadays for people to, use the fact that they play Dungeons and Dragons, or let's say they've been in a band and you've got to communicate with their band members. And yeah, I just think, gosh, I know I don't know how much time we've got, but I could talk about this all day long.
that's right. We've got a while. You're all right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's-
it's a really good idea. I think yeah, like, I've even seen people online nowadays like teaching like such young, like, their kids or their grandkids, and it's one of those. I think D&D will be one of those things that will never, that will stand the test of time. It will be
mm.
around forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, definitely. It brings people together, right? So people who might not even think about playing D&D, they kind of get roped into it at Christmas by someone who does, and then
Yeah.
they like it, and then they share it with someone else. And I totally agree. So let's go on to something a little less fun. Do you think there's a stigma about voice artistry, or at least from an acting standpoint? Because not everyone I've put here as a quote, like not everyone needs to be a Matt Mercer, and that's everybody's
Mm.
DM quote when they're explaining to people who get involved that they don't need to put on a voice straight away. They don't need to act up. They can just kind of um at their own comfort get involved when they want to get involved and try new things. You don't need to be watching this like kind of the grand master at work and decide, well, if I can't be him, I can't be anyone.
I think it's like anything in life, right? If you aspire to emulate or copy or whatever, it can really ruin your mental health. Like, I
Mm,
know it's certainly with me, like, growing up as a performer and a creative, I would maybe start writing a song or doing an audition or something like that, and then I'd hear somebody else do it and I'd be like, right, that's it. I can't do it because they've already done it and it's better, and why should I carry on? But actually, for me, I had just had a light bulb moment where I just went, actually, no, if I'm booking jobs and I'm booking work and this, that, and the other, I know I'm good enough. So
mm,
why can't I believe in myself and just put myself out there? And I think with the whole, yeah, Matt Mercer, he is phenomenal and he is incredible. But become your own version of that. Like, use that as inspiration, but don't
Mm.
necessarily emulate or copy. And like you said, with using voices in D&D, like the first character I had, it was just me. Like, maybe, well, kind of a little bit more like Hermione Granger-esque, but
Right.
it was basically my voice, right? I just was myself because I wanted to understand the mechanics of the game. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I was like, right, I'm not going to focus on like what I'm trying to do, like role play wise. Like, I just
Mm.
need to understand, right, when do I need to use these dice? Like, what does it mean when I have a 6 second turn and all this kind of thing? So, yeah, I wanted to understand that before doing more of the role play kind of stuff. But again, like, there's some people I've been around a table with who don't like to put on voices because they just want to they like the story, but they just want to do it, and that's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. But equally, you know, if you want to be around the table and you want to try an accent out and it's not that great, just make sure you're in a safe space. Like, it's when I did another character where I'll probably talk about this a little bit later as well because it led me onto a job, but I played another character where I had a Southern American accent, and it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I'd never had any formal training for it at all, but I knew I was in a safe space because I was around my
Mm.
friends. And then eventually, because I've been kind of practicing it for how long did we play? It was about 4 or 5 years of that same character.
Wow.
Yeah, just going on with it. Like I say, it ended up like doing me a favour in the future for my actual voice work. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think to round off, yeah, don't try and directly emulate or copy. Do whatever you think is best. Obviously, use stuff like Critical Role and Natural Six and all that kind of stuff as inspiration. But you don't have to copy to do your own work.
Yeah.
That's why D&D is great, because you might have a campaign and the dungeon master will have like a set outline of the story, but if you watch everybody's way of how they play it, every story will end up different because you're playing
Mm.
as different characters. There's different scenarios, and that's the beauty of it. No two games will ever be the same.
So let's go on about you. You were saying there that you knew the voice you wanted to put on, and over time you picked that up. If people do want to get into putting on a voice, and obviously that comes with time and like confidence. How do they build that up? Is there like reference points that you would have used, or even in your work outside of D&D, where you go, right, if I know I've got to kind of put that accent on because this person is from this place, um, or even like the way you carry yourself and that comes across in the way you sound like you want to be conveyed. Is there a place that people can kind of take from, or a way that you do it?
I mean, initially, if I'm thinking of a character, I'll probably look towards, pop culture, what's already out there, and use that as like a kind of a reference point. Um, but again, it's one of those things where you are in control of what you want your character to do, right?
Mm.
Unless you roll a natural one, then maybe not.
Yeah.
But I'd say pop culture is a really good idea, especially if you're very first starting out in D&D. You're like, oh, I really want to play a character like, for example, like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, like, but I don't really know where I'm going or what I'm doing. Oh, okay. Well, you can be merfolk because that's kind of like, in the sea and stuff. And
Matches,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, and it's that can kind of help people who have no idea of where they're starting in the kind of D&D realm.
Mm.
Um, and then when it comes to accents in general for voiceover, definitely invest in training if you want to do it as a profession. Like, if you're just
Right.
around the table and you're having a bit of a laugh and stuff, like, it's absolutely fine. But what I ended up doing is, although I was kind of practicing around the table every 2 weeks with my friends, I did go and see a vocal coach as well, just to make sure that, because I said, look, I'm kind of getting familiar with this accent, but I want to hopefully use it for work in the future. Can we just make
Mm.
sure that things are okay? Um, and yeah, they kind of signed it off eventually in the end. But when I was first starting out, it was just all a bit of fun. And some people are naturally really good at picking up accents; they can just do
Right.
it like that. But yeah, I think if you're wanting to pursue, especially character work, it's making sure you can sustain that accent for like usually game sessions are a minimum of like an hour to 2 hours tops. So you
Right.
need to make sure you're not slipping out of it, or else the director will be like, "What are you doing?" So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess that's an important thing as well, isn't it? It's like it's the level of commitment, and by that, usually we would say, right, oh, you know, unless you're giving it everything, you're not committed enough. But when it comes to D&D, then it's just really up to you. No one's going to be kind of calling you out on that. It's if you go like yourself, you were using that to kind of train for like the long game, like for
yeah,
something beyond that. And that's the difference of like going to get a vocal coach or just wanting to kind of pick up the intonations and the way you should sound when talking in an accent, right?
yeah, exactly. And honestly, I remember, so like I said, my first character, I just was myself. And then my second character, who unfortunately got killed, I tried to do a Welsh accent. I know, rest in peace, Abuela.
R.I.P. Yeah.
I was trying to do a Welsh accent for her. I couldn't do it for the life of me. I'd go into the sessions, and by like session 3, I was like, nah, I've got to change it. So I ended up
Right.
changing it to Irish. Yeah, she got killed. And then that's when my Southern American accent character came, and then I ended up doing the rest of the campaign with her. But it's a really good space if you want to kind of try things out, and it's all dependent on the DM as well and how they want to play the game and the story. So the DM who we have, who is like one of my best friends, like he is very story driven and narrative and stuff, and by the end of the campaign, oh my god, we were all crying our eyes out. Like it's such a, if you want it to be that way, it can be really powerful.
Mm.
But other people, like, it's very much like, right, we're going to go in, we're going to fight, we're going to talk to some people, we're going to fight some people, and we get a victory. Hurrah! End of the game. But yeah, it can be fantastic. And if you've got people around the table who are really dedicated to the role play side of things, oh my god, it's so good. It's
Mm.
so good. But again, I think having a balance as well is really good. I've forgotten the question. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no,
I
no,
feel like I'm just
you
rambling.
answered it and in different parameters as well, so it was really nice. Well, a bit more of a boring question now, but like if you're watching this, you can see that like I've got a mic kind of like tucked away here. You've got like a whole setup there for online games, which actually a lot of people are playing online more so than on tables because you know I know so many people who are literally playing with friends across the world. It's their way of keeping
Mm,
together. There are just Discord servers for people to get involved with each other. Um, is equipment really important to be playing D&D?
absolutely not. I think, well, it depends really. I think if you're, so we tried playing online during the pandemic and it didn't work for us because we
Mm,
are so heavily, but then again, like, you know, it was a pandemic, so it was like what, 6 years ago, so like
mm.
we were just having internet trouble and things like that. I think things are a lot more stable now, so maybe if we tried again it would probably be a lot better.
You got like the
But
whole world on the internet at the same
yeah.
time in your area, you know.
Exactly. Whereas like we've always been very traditional in the sense of we like to be around the table. We kind of make a big event of it, you know. So
Mm.
we get to the DM's house, we'll have a little catch up for 5-10 minutes, we get into the game, we'll have a break, we'll make some dinner or we'll order a takeaway and then we'll carry on. Like it's quite like a big day thing. Like it's not usually, we've done a couple of short sessions, but we try and make it like a big kind of event kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I think for gaming online and stuff, if you're not necessarily streaming it and you're just playing with friends, you know, a typical USB microphone and things like that is absolutely fine. But I think if you're wanting to go into more of like the professional, like, oh, we're streaming it and we're doing like weekly episodes on YouTube and stuff, I do think the right equipment and sound is important because,
Mm.
you know, you want the people who are consuming your content to listen to it and be like, this is good quality.
Yeah.
But that's just me personally. Again, I'm traditionally from a music background, so I'm very,
Yes.
yeah, I love
Well,
the fact that
I
I
mean,
can.
anyone listening to this is probably laughing right now because, you know, visually and sonically, this podcast is usually terrible from the host standpoint. So that's quite
No.
funny. That's quite funny. So let's go back to the table quickly. And this isn't, I haven't got a question written here, but I think what you said there was really good. Was not, you know, you're kind of making a big deal about it on the day at the table. When people are putting on voices, do you think that inspires other people to do it as well? That it gives them confidence to do it with that character, the next character they play. Have you experienced that?
Absolutely. So, we have, so it's myself, my husband, and then our two other friends and our DM. So we're quite a nice sized table.
Yeah.
And like I say, when we first played, none of us did accents other than the DM, right? Because obviously
Right,
he's
yeah.
playing like a million, as you know, a million
Yeah,
other
yeah.
characters, right? But yeah, when we did like the second campaign, like everybody had an accent, which was nice because it kind of gave it a bit of flavour and a bit of variety. But then also, you know, if say somebody needed to do like disguise self or something like that and they had to put another voice on, it'd make the table light up and it just gave it something a little bit different. And also some of our favourite NPCs that the DM has done where he's put on a different accent has been really, really funny. And there's one where he plays a kobold and it ends up becoming a part of the party. It never was meant to. It was just
Yeah,
meant
yeah. That's
it,
D&D. That's D&D.
like one of our party members ended up taking him and having him as a pet, but because like he didn't really know anything, he was from like the slums or whatever, ended up training him and now he's like a really good fighter. And we were just
Right.
and he was just like, why have we turned him into an NPC? And then there was a point where he got kidnapped and we all lost our shit because we were like, no. But yeah, I think going back to the question, sorry, I end up going off on tangents because
No, that's what this is. It should be people listening should feel like we've known each other forever. Like that's
absolutely,
what's great about it.
absolutely. But yeah, I do think it encourages people to do voices, even if they don't want, like I say, their character to do a voice. Even if they do a disguised self and they just do like a little bit of a voice, it just makes it a lot more fun and
Mm.
a bit more interesting, and it also shows trust around the table, right? Like,
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, I play in a lot of games where there'll just be one person who puts on the voice, and you're like, oh, there they are, and then within like minutes, you're like, what? Like, I'm actually just glad that they're happy to do that. We've never met, and they're happy to just jump in and give it a go. I don't think there's
Mm,
anything wrong with doing a year-long campaign where no one does it either. Like,
mm.
I don't. There's no right or wrong, but it's nice to know that people feel comfortable, as you said, to do that. There's trust, and that other people can then go. Do you know what? I know it's been like 4 months as this character, but maybe my character does have an accent actually, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
And the one thing about D&D is, even though there are rules, there are no rules, and
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
beauty of it, right? So if you want to change your character's accent down the line, do it. If you want to, you know, change like a weapon or armor or whatever, obviously within the realms of what the DM wants you to do, like absolutely fine. Like, it's if you can think it, you can do it, and
yeah.
if you can't do it, give it a go and see if it works. And if it doesn't, at least you tried.
Yeah, at least you've rolled, even if it's a one. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
okay. So, are there places people can pull from to take their game to another level? So it's a bit more of a vague question. We kind of answered it earlier, but
Mm.
are there places that well, I said earlier that is there somewhere you look for inspiration? You said, just like online, it could be film or whatnot. Are there are there places like actual classes people can go to? Where can people get involved if they want to take
Oh,
it to like, they might want to do um voice acting classes and whatnot.
I mean, when it comes to voice acting as a kind of a profession in general, there are a lot of coaches out there. I mean, I'm happy to recommend people that I've been to specifically for characters and for gaming in general. So, um, I mean, actually, I'll take a step back. So when I very first started voice acting, there's a company called Gravy for the Brain, and
Okay.
they I know, cool name,
Incredible
right?
name. Incredible name. I think
um,
immediately people going, oh, actually, that's quite
yeah, that's
interesting.
really cool.
Yeah.
And they are kind of like an e-learning provider. And they do training videos. And they also do a couple of workshops each month, but they cover all of the voiceover industry. So commercials, corporate, radio, e-learning, gaming, animation, etc. And you pay a monthly subscription fee. So in the UK, it depends what tier you go for as well. So obviously,
Right.
the higher you pay, the more things you get access to. But their basic package is like £10 a month. And then the next
Wow.
one above that is £20 a month. And it's basically you get videos, and that actually helped me build this home studio, right? But you also have a forum on there with people that can help you out. You can do coaching and things like that. But they are a great, if you're very much coming in as a newbie and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, Gravy for the Brain are a great provider. If you're just looking for more like acting coaching specifically, there's many people you can look for. What I will say is just be wary, because there are people out there who say online that I'm the best voice actor in the world, and I can do, like but they don't have the resume to back it up.
Yeah, I know that too real from my career of seeing people do things and kind of like that people getting shafted by it.
Oh, mate, it's terrible. Like, especially like if somebody's like, I can turn you into a professional voice actor in 30 days.
Yeah,
Stay clear, stay
yeah, yeah.
clear. But people I've worked with, so Tanya Rich, who's from a company called Richcraft, they are amazing, especially if you want to go more into like the commercial and corporate area. Sarah Nightingale, they've been in lots of different games and audio dramas and things like that. Richard Reed, he does a lot of Warhammer stuff. He's a really good acting coach. I'm about to do some coaching with Thomas Mitchells, who's one of the directors from Baldur's Gate 3.
Amazing, yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm happy to kind of like send like you a reference list or whatever after we've wrapped up the show
Yeah,
if you want to
amazing,
use
yeah.
it.
I know there's a lot
Um,
of people that play D&D who are kind of there's always a term thrown around of like, oh, they come from like a theatre kid kind of background. But I think a
mm,
lot of people they might just do a regular kind of like office job, play and go, that's actually quite fun. I would love to see where I could venture outside of D&D in the same realms of being creative, you know. So I think that's why this
absolutely.
episode works really well.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I think it's absolutely doable, and I think it's one of those things where if you've got the drive and the passion to do it, absolutely do it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not, it's not an overnight success thing. You have to
Mm.
really, really work on it. But it is doable. It's one of those things where if you do it and you love it and you want to get a bit of money on the side, that's great. What I would say is don't quit your day job straight away.
Yeah.
You got to build it up. I would say for what I do, so I would class myself as part-time in voiceover because the other half of my income is through like music and songwriting and doing session vocals for other people. But again, it's still in the performance realm, so I'm kind of full-time as a creative sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I'm not full-time in voiceover, and I kind of want to make sure that illusion isn't, make sure that
Yeah.
people understand the reality.
That's often the case in a creative field that like you'll have you kind of like you are constantly trying to make it, right? It's not
Mm,
easy. I've been doing what I'm doing for 6 years, and that's not actually what I wanted to do. It's just kind of led into that's like my gate, kind of like the foot in the door, you know. So
mm,
it is important for people to know that like that is something that you can kind of chase. But as you said, it's safe to know keep your job until that success happens. It's also a bit of a lottery as well. Like
mm,
there are lots of talented people out there, so don't and going back to your one of your first answers earlier on in it is that don't be kind of like disappointed if other people like cover that song first or do that first of what you want to do and then go I won't do that anymore. Everyone's always just trying to do their best, I suppose.
absolutely.
All right, well, the last question then, unless you have anything to add, but I've got one more question here, and it's kind of what you've just answered, but are there any tips for listeners who may want to get into voice artistry? By that, it is essentially the question we just did, but tips from the ground level when you're playing D&D. Is there anything just in your kind of game, every game you play that you can kind of practice with, or you could do this different in your session to kind of work on that?
That's a really good question. Oh,
Thank you. It's probably the only good question I've ever asked on this
no,
podcast.
honestly,
So,
no. That's a really good question. Um, I think if you're playing characters in your D&D game and you think that it's something that you could maybe see in like a video game that's out there and stuff right now, why not record it and have it as a sample on your website if you're thinking about going into voice acting, right? Because it's an original character, nobody else has done it before, it's unique to you. So you could use that as your kind of first stepping stone.
mm,
When going back to kind of what I was saying about the Southern Belle character that I played, I put that a little bit of what she does as a sample on my website. And I got hired to do I was hired to do music for a game trailer. Excuse me. I was hired to do music for a game trailer. So I wasn't even hired as a voice actor at this time because this was kind of when I was kind of first testing the waters a little bit.
mm.
And it was for like a cozy farm simulator game. It's by a company in the UK called Platonic.
Okay.
And the game's called Cattle Country. So it's very much like your little what's the other game it's similar to? Oh my god, my mind's gone blank.
Not like Stardew Valley or
Yeah,
Moon.
like that. Not Farmville.
No, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I know the bit. We're both on it. There's
Yeah.
people who probably listening screaming. Like,
Probably. I'm so
trying to.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm
So yeah,
sorry.
like Stardew Valley kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically they were like, we need a song for this trailer. Can you do it? I was like, yep, sure, no problem. They kind of gave me the lyrics that they already had and like a little bit of like a guitar brief. Did the song, and then they went on my website and saw that I had a couple of little voice acting samples. This was before I had a proper demo reel or anything like that. And they said, oh, we really like your Southern American accent. Can you just read a few lines at the end of the trailer announcing the consoles it's coming onto? I was like, what? I was like, really? And I was like, yeah, sure. Did it. Absolutely hated myself because I was like, this is not good enough. Like, what am I doing? Like, let's give it a go. And they were like, oh, yeah, this is great. Thanks. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And then when the trailer got announced and it was on the PlayStation YouTube channel, I was like, that's me. I'm speaking at the end. And the funny thing is, all of the other trailers for this game were voiced by Roger Clark, a.k.a. Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. And the only other trailer is voiced by me. And I'm like...
The better trailer. If you're listening, Arthur Morgan, you're out.
Oh my god! But it's it's one of those things where like I took the chance and it was amazing, and then that's what gave me the confidence to go and do it professionally.
Amazing.
Because I was like, I lent on a real life experience, which was I played D&D. I played this Southern Belle character. I took a chance and put it on my website, this, that, and the other, and it led to a paid job. And, that's amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess like if you want kind of like on the boots on the ground at the table tips is kind of like literally just go for it. Practice it. Feel like as long as you feel like you can trust the table, put the voice in. If you really like it, record it. Put it on a show reel and start working from there. It's also good to in any kind of creative field to have a variety as well, right? That's important to note that showing range is really important.
I also think that like progression is key as well. So even if you put it up and you listen back to it in like 6 months' time, you're like, oh, that's terrible. Actually, when you then do it again in 6 months' time, you'll see the progression. And actually, people love that kind of creative story and they like to follow your journey and things like that. Like, gosh, I remember the very first demo reel I did. It was horrible. And like I did it myself, which you shouldn't do. Like if you're going to record your own stuff, do it as samples. Never ever record your own demo reel. Get that done professionally in a studio with a sound engineer who knows what they're doing. But yeah, like you're never, there's no such thing as perfection. And there shouldn't be. And actually sometimes the accidents become incredible and they become like the thing that makes the thing that you want to do. So yeah, just give it a go. Like, what have you got to lose? And the word is
100%. Well, what a nice kind of fitting ending and very very mature, lovely kind of episode, which is rare on this podcast. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for having me.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna now like lower the tone as I always do with the outro question. Today's adventure has sadly come to a close. We're back in next week with the topic: is Ronald McDonald being kept in a government lab? And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join the D&D action, please follow us on Instagram at HousePlayD&D or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. And also check out Black Mark Cloud on Instagram for cool D&D clothing. Tammy, where can we find you and what do you do?
You can find me at Tammy King Official on all social media platforms. Feel free to DM me if you've got any questions about voice acting or where to start or anything in general. I'm always available to say hi. I'm a voice actor, an award-winning singer-songwriter, and thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Make sure you check out all the other episodes, and hopefully we'll speak to you soon.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, actually, I'm not going to let you run away from that because before we started recording, you said you've got some stuff coming up. And I know that kind of makes this podcast less evergreen, but I definitely should be celebrated. So what have you got coming up?
So, I have just recorded a live session with the wonderful Sarah Nightingale, who's a fantastic voice actor, coach and director, for an upcoming game, which I think people who are listening to this podcast will have probably wishlisted, and if not, please do. It is called The Bureau of Fantastical and Arcane Affairs, so I'm going to be in the game. Can't say what character I am yet, sadly. However, the team over at Hit Flash Games have just announced that the demo is going to be out during the first half of 2026, so make sure you check it out. You might hear me, you might not. We'll see.
It'll be you or Arthur Morgan on the
Imagine,
yeah.
I'm like, him again. Why
Just
don't
you
you?
interrupting him as he speaks, like
Yeah.
that would be perfect. Well, as always, all the links to what Tammy does and what she's including what you've referenced there, we'll put in the show notes as always. So easy to kind of find what you need from listening to the episode. Thank you so much for today. I've been Connor Kinsey.
I've been Tammy King.
Good day.